Hello, and welcome back to another edition of the Shadow Gallery vlog. I'm your host, James Donnelly. Are you sitting comfortably? And I'll begin because we have got a lot of ground to cover this week. So we're probably looking at a minimum of 20 minutes. The first thing that I'm going to talk about this week, for those of you who know me, you know that I've had something of a tragedy in my life this week. It's been a pretty awful week. So I want to thank you all for the kind thoughts and the well-wishing. It really does me good and my family. So to all of you out there, thank you. Again, from the bottom of my heart, I love you all. Even those of you who are watching, I love you. Anyway, so on to this week. First, movies. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Part 1. Now, I've never read the books. Never. I haven't wanted them to take away from my enjoyment of the films as a franchise and as a story, as a progression of the story. I've been just waiting to see, honestly, how it plays out on screen more than wanting to read the books. That's just me, personal thing, personal taste, whatever. But as far as these films are concerned, I've enjoyed all of them. I have loved more. I love some more than I have loved others. The first two are kind of, there's obviously a great sense of wonder to it, but it's a little maybe too kiddie fair for me, and Chris Columbus just isn't that great of a director. Now, when Alfonso Cuarón got on board and directed Prisoner of Azkaban, now that's my favorite by far of all of them. I think that's a great film, and I thought it was a contender for the best films of this last decade. Goblet of Fire, Order of the Phoenix, Half-Blood Prince, I all thought were strong films. Deathly Hallows Part 1. One of the things that's been a constant, as far as I've been concerned, in the Harry Potter films, has been a sense of wonder and a sense of awe. Even obviously when the film gets dark, even when the films have gotten dark, there is still there is joy in the film that that's pervasive. You can feel it. Whether it comes in, and usually it will come in earlier scenes, before something really awful happens, and that's happened pretty consistently since obviously Cedric Diggory in Goblet of Fire, Sirius Black, which is such a bummer, in Order of the Phoenix, and of course Dumbledore in Half-Blood Prince. This film doesn't really have that, it doesn't have like the dramatic death, but it is very dramatic, and I think that is where it actually has a fault. And I know this is going to be weird coming from me, but I think that by taking this film and making it so serious, whether it's completely and totally based on the book, purists, whatever, may argue, they may laud it for how true it was to the book. I have no idea. Again, I haven't read any of the books, so. But there's a very pervasive lack of joy in this film. There are a couple of scenes where it's like, okay, here's some wonder, here's some magic, here's some cool wizardry. This is more about there's some interesting kind of action scenes. There's obviously a lot of interplay between Harry and Hermione for most of the film. Ron kind of comes in and out. And the end, of course, is a huge. I guess that at the end of it does kind of count as a big, it's a big death as far as that universe is concerned. But it's a really dark film. A lot of people were comparing it to Empire Strikes Back. It's like the Empire Strikes Back of the Harry Potter films. I disagree, because at least in Empire Strikes Back, there's a lot of fun that the characters have, and these characters just, admittedly, they're on the run for their lives. They're trying to destroy Voldemort. They're trying to, at least at least try to gain the upper hand by destroying the Horcruxes. And ultimately, it just left me feeling really cold, and just kind of, I appreciated the drama that they really infused, and a lot of the conflict, and obviously the kind of set pieces were really impressive, but it's just a little too much for a Harry Potter film. So that kind of turned me off. I don't, by any stretch of the imagination, think it's a bad film, but I didn't enjoy it. I just didn't really feel anything after the film was over, other than, wow, that was really that was pretty depressing. I mean, it's just it's filmed in a very dark palette. And again, this is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that there has to be some consistency in tone throughout the films, and so I would say it's about a 7 out of 10 as far as a film score would be concerned. But anyway, getting off of that and onto this week's comic releases. A lot of good stuff out this week. Some stuff under the radar. Some stuff obviously that's really big deal. Because you've got 2 major events that are coming up this year for both Marvel and DC. Marvel, I think starting in March. Starting March is going to be the new big, kind of extinction event, the extinction level event comic called Fear Itself. I don't really know what that's going to be about yet. I saw some of the press conference that they did on it, and I thought what they had to say was pretty interesting. Matt Fraction is a bizarre motherfucker. I follow him on Twitter, and nothing he ever says makes sense, which is why it's kind of fun to read him, because it's just all non sequiturs. And then DC is going to have its, of course, I'm sure going to be led by Jeff Johns again, mega event, which is going to be called Flashpoint, which basically it sounds like he's going to, from what I read of the description, it's going to be like he finds like alternate universe counterparts to the heroes that are villainous. So it sounds like just like Earth 2, like Grant, for instance, Grant Morrison's Earth 2, and Earth 1, so on and so forth. So anyway, that's the that's just me thinking out loud about those 2 things. So I mean, just Flashpoint sounds a lot like Blackest Night. Okay, so heroes are becoming villains, and it's not about the dead rising from the grave, but it's sort of the same. It's just sort of sounds like the same thing, because obviously you had these dead heroes, all these heroes who had died at one point in time and were resurrected, by the Black Lantern. So you had a Black Lantern Superman and a Flash, and it's all these bad guys. So this time, instead of Green Lantern kind of running the show, it's going to be the Flash, hence Flashpoint. So this is obviously part 1. We're going to stop now and we're going to pick up in just a few seconds with part 2. So see you in a seat. See you.